Okay. We are in section 7.5 where we're going to talk about percent of change. Now, the percent of change is an amount in which a quantity either increases or decreases. So, to find the percent of change, which is denoted as P% in this case, it's going to equal the amount that it either increases or decreases, and it's divided by the original amount. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to make it into a fraction. We're going to calculate it, and once we calculate it, your calculation will come out as a decimal, and then you must change it into a percent. Okay? So when we look at these examples here, A, B, C, and D, first thing I want to do, let's just look at each one of them individually, and I want to know from the original amount to the new amount, was it an increase or a decrease? So for A, it started out as 20, and then the new one is 25. That's a larger number in the new, so that's an increase. For B, it goes 150, and then it's 189. Larger number, that's an increase. For C, it's 20, then it's 15. That's smaller, so it's a decrease. And then the last one is 75 to 35. That is also a decrease. Now, in order to find the percent of change, here's what we have to do. It does not matter whether it's the new or the original. It's going to be the larger number subtracted by the smaller number on the top. So it's going to be, for example A, it's going to be 25 minus 20, and the whole thing is going to be divided by the original equation, or original value. In this case, it happens to be 20. So here you got 25 minus 20, which gives me 5 over 20. And 5 over 20 as a decimal is going to be 0.25. But as a percent, it's going to be 25% because I have to move the decimal point to the right. For example B, same thing. Larger number, which is 189, subtracted by 150, divided by the original value, which is 150. So it's going to be 189 subtracted by 150 gives me 39 over 150. Divide that by 150. 39 by 150 is 0.26, which is 26%. So for B, it's an increase, and it's an increase of 26%. C, now the original value is larger, so I have to put this as 20 minus 15 divided by the original value, which is 20. So 20 minus 15, that's 5. 5 over 20. We just did that up top, so that's a 25%. So that's a decrease, but it's a decrease in 25%. For D, I got 75 minus 35, and the whole thing is going to be divided by the original, which is 75. 75 minus 35 gives me 40 over 75. So 40 divided by 75 is, I have 0.53 repeating. So when I make that into a percent, it's going to be 53.3 repeating percent, which is what we talked about in sections prior. Last example here, it says, at the first visit to a veterinarian, a puppy weighed 28 pounds. 3 months later, the puppy weighed 46 pounds. So this was an increase in weight from the first visit to the next visit, and I want to know the percentage, or the percent of change. So it's going to be 46 minus 28 divided by the original weight, which is 28. So I got 46 minus 28 gives me 18 on the top, and it's going to be divided by 28. So divide that by 28, I get a 0.643, so I just rounded it, so it's going to be 64.3% roughly. Okay? So if we give these a try on your own, again, if you want to pause the tape and see if you can do them, and then I will do them and see if you got them correct. So looking at this, I want to know if it's an increase or decrease. Since the new number is larger than the original, this is considered an increase, for example A. And the percent of change is going to be 143 minus 55 divided by the original, which is 55. 143 minus 55 on the top is going to give me 88 over 55. Divide that by 55, I get 1.6. So if I move this 2 units to the right, this is going to be 160%. Yes, percents can be over 100%. For B, it went from 102 to 51, so that went smaller, so that's a decrease. And it's going to be 102 to find the percent change. Divide that by 102. 102 minus 51 gives me 51 on the top. So divide that by 102. I get 0.5 as a decimal, so it's going to be 50% is the change. Okay. Here, again, we're still going to use the percent change, but here is how we're going to find the new amount by using these formulas. To find the new amount, we're going to take 100%, which both of these should be percent, and we're going to subtract it by the percent decreased, and then we are going to multiply it by the original. But before we multiply it by the original, keep in mind that you must convert these percents into decimals, okay? That's very, very important. That drastically changes the value of our new amount. So let's take a look at some examples. For example A, it says the Portage County Fair was attended by 4,212 people last year. This year, the number of people who came to the fair increased by 14%. So I know that it's an increase. So that means I want to be using this formula to help me out. So it's going to be 100% plus that increase multiplied by the original amount. So it's going to be new amount equals 100 minus, or plus, I'm sorry, 14, and it's going to be multiplied by 4212. Well, 14 plus 100 is 114. That's 114%, but I have to convert that to a decimal. So 114% as a decimal is actually 1.14. And so then that gets multiplied by 4212. 1.14 multiplied by 4212 gives me a value of 4801.68, but you can't have 0.68 of a person, so I'm going to round up to 4802 people attended. Okay? It says last month a restaurant charged $12.95 for their specialty burger dinner. This month the owner had new menus printed with all dinner prices increased by 12%. What is the new price for seafood pasta dinner? Well, the only information they give us is the burger dinner, so I have to make the assumption that the pasta dinner originally cost $12.95. So we'll make that assumption. And this was an increase, so I have to use the increase formula, which was on top. So I'm going to take 100 plus that 12%, and I'm going to multiply it by the original amount of $12.95. So when I add 112 together, I get 112, but that's percent. So I got to multiply that, not multiply, I got to change that into a decimal, which makes it 1.12, and it's multiplied by 12.95. So 1.12 divided by 12.95, that gives me $14.50 for the new price of those dinners. Okay? Last example. I have in 1963, Lake Chad in Africa had a surface area of about 10,000 square miles. Because of climate change and water usage, the surface area decreased by 91.5% by 2001. What is the surface area of Lake Chad in 2001? So the new amount is going to be a decrease. So again, for this new amount, I'm going to take 100, and since it's a decrease, I'm going to subtract it by 91.95. That percent gets multiplied by the original value, which was 10,000 square miles. So I got 100 minus 91.5 gives me 8.5. But remember, that's 8.5%. So if I want to write this as, see if I have 8.5%, I have to write this as a decimal. It's going to be 1, 2. I got to move that 2 units to the left, so it's going to be 0.085, and that gets multiplied by 10,000. So I got 10,000 multiplied by 0.085, and that gives me a value of 850 square miles. Okay? And that is being able to use percent change. Hope this helps. Till next time.